Hello everyone, welcome to the Formula for Success and Wealth channel, where you learn to build assets and live intelligently. Have you ever wondered why many people, perhaps even yourself, face financial struggles even when their income increases? In the United States, staggering data reveals that a vast portion of the population, and even those earning substantial salaries, battle with debt. If you identify with the feeling of constantly chasing money, caught in a cycle of earning and spending that seems endless, then this content is crucial for you. Today, we're going to dive deep into the reasons why this happens, exploring everything from the statistics that expose the American financial reality to the behaviors that keep us trapped in debt and financial dissatisfaction. Get ready to pinpoint the biggest mistakes many make, and more importantly, to understand how a shift in perspective and habits can be the first step to transforming your relationship with money and building a more secure, peaceful financial future, regardless of your starting point. And before we delve deeper into the statistics and stories that will truly transform your perspective, I need to ask you for something that could be a game changer in your financial journey. If you are truly seeking real change, if you long for clarity and direction for your finances, please subscribe right now to this channel and activate the complete notification bell. This simple act is your commitment to not miss any crucial information, any strategy that could be the key to your financial freedom. Do this for yourself, for your future. Now, let's analyze data from reputable sources like the Federal Reserve, which indicates that a significant percentage of the US population earns below the national median income. This suggests that a large portion of Americans fall into lower and middle income brackets. If you find yourself in this income range, earning, for instance, less than $5,000 per month, this content is especially for you. Additionally, even for those with higher earnings, understanding these financial education concepts is immensely valuable. This is because, according to recent consumer debt surveys, a substantial number of Americans earning between $5,000 and $10,000 monthly are indebted, and a significant percentage of individuals in this same income bracket are in default, meaning they have overdue debts they cannot pay, accumulating interest upon interest. Thus, these numbers alone reveal that even those earning between $5,000 and $10,000 per month suffer greatly from debt. The fundamental cause of this reality is the lack of financial literacy, a problem that affects all social classes in the United States, stemming from the absence of basic personal finance education in schools, among other factors. One might think it takes a lot of recklessness to earn between $7,000 and $14,000 per month and still be indebted or in default. However, it's important to emphasize that this situation is one of the most common when analyzing the financial management of the average American. You've probably heard of the financial rat race, where a person constantly seeks to earn money only to receive their income, pay bills, be left without resources, and then restart the cycle, chasing money again, paying bills, ending up broke, and so on. It is precisely because of this dynamic that we will now discuss the hypothetical example of Junior. Junior was a young man earning a minimum wage equivalent of about $2,000 a month, working at a local shoe store. Since he lived alone, he had many expenses like rent, food, and other necessities. He lived frugally, owning only a bicycle for transportation, and did his shopping at the cheapest wholesale market near his home, and so on. However, even with this lifestyle, it was rare for him not to spend everything he earned, frequently using up his entire income and sometimes even going into debt with larger credit card expenses, thinking, if I earn $4,000 a month, I'll get out of this situation and improve my finances. Months later, while talking to a friend who worked at a restaurant, an opportunity arose for him to take on extra shifts as a freelancer on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. So he began this dual employment journey. It was exhausting, and he lost his weekend nights, but now he was earning $4,000 a month from both jobs combined. What was once his dream was now reality. He was making over $4,000 monthly, almost double what he earned before, feeling very excited about this income increase. And since he was earning this amount, he ditched his bicycle and bought a good motorcycle, financed over several years. Soon, he found himself in debt again, spending everything he earned in the month and even exceeding his credit card limits, leading to the thought, man, $4,000 is too little. If I ever earn $8,000, I'll be set and have a better life. Over time, being an excellent waiter, he was invited to work every night at the restaurant. But juggling two jobs day and night every day became too demanding. At that point, Junior quit his shoe store job and focused solely on the restaurant. And as he was an excellent waiter, he was promoted to manager, finally achieving the $8,000 he had so longed for. And you can already imagine, he raised his standard of living. Immediately, he sold the motorcycle and financed a car and also a house. In other words, he increased his standard of living, moved out of his rental, and now had a car and a house whose mortgage payments still needed to be made. And of course, he continued spending more than he earned because his income increased. But his expenses also grew proportionally, so much so that debt was always with him, from earning a minimum wage equivalent to making $8,000 a month. At this point, the thought came again. $8,000 a month is too little. I can barely pay the car and house bills. I need to start studying and pass that civil service exam that pays $15,000 a month, and only then will I truly be happy and won't struggle with bills. After several arduous years of studying during the day and working at night, Junior was finally employed in a government position, earning a salary that less than 10% of the US population makes, $15,000 per month. You can predict the rest of the story. The day he found out he had passed was the happiest day of his entire life, and rightly so. After all, he passed a prestigious exam, leaving the restaurant to work only 6 hours a day and still earn more than triple what he made before. At that moment, he sold his used car and bought a brand new one, financed over several years, of course, but now he had a new car. Soon, he got married, financed a larger house in a good neighborhood, having to support the household, pay car installments, children's school tuition, the new house mortgage, and other additional bills due to raising his standard of living, such as year-end vacations. And Junior realized too late that his biggest financial problem wasn't just earning little, but the inability to manage expenses, always spending in proportion to income increases. This was just a hypothetical example to illustrate the biggest mistake most of us Americans make. I know not everyone has a trajectory like Junior's, reaching $15,000 per month, but what I wanted to demonstrate here is the lack of basic financial education. That's why I always emphasize, never spend everything you earn. If you start doing this, your financial life will begin to organize itself, even if slowly. For example, if you earn a low salary, it's better to invest $100 per month than to invest nothing at all. Many have the thought, I already earn so little, I'll just go into debt now, and later when I earn more, I'll invest. And Junior's story proves that constantly living at the same spending level as your income is not a good financial strategy. I understand that we all want to have a better car, a better house, travel every year. Yes, I want all that too. I'm not saying it's wrong for Junior to want to increase his standard of living. What's misguided is to continuously increase your spending in proportion to your income without proper planning, raising your standard of living at the same rate your income grows. And look, don't get me wrong, I think the idea of wanting to earn more, seeking other income sources, and increasing your income is great and very interesting. This is The main idea I always talk about here on the channel and that I practice myself. However, we also cannot forget this biggest mistake made by most Americans: living beyond their means, spending more than they earn, getting into credit card debt or loans, and so on. We need to learn to be content with what we have at the moment, always aiming to improve, yes, to increase income, but only increase your standard of living as your investments grow. For example, if you earn $2,000 a month and start investing $200 per month, spending $1,800 monthly, and then your income increases to $3,000, you won't start spending $3,000. You could even increase your spending from $1,800 to $2,300 and thus invest $700 monthly. Of course, this was just an example, but this way, when your income increases, your standard of living also goes up, from $1,800 to $2,300 in this case. And consequently, your monthly invested amount also grows, from $200 to $700. Do you understand? The idea of increasing income, also increasing your standard of living, but also increasing your investments. What I want you to understand is that being financially modest today is not shameful. What is shameful is to be poor and live as if you were rich. So, know your current situation, because pretending to have money so others don't think you're broke is precisely what makes you have even less money. I myself currently own a small 125cc motorcycle. I'm not going to buy a car because right now it's not a priority. My priority at the moment is to increase my investment portfolio so I can buy a car outright in the future and still have money. Left invested, reserving money just for the car purchase, besides having other long-term investments. This is the idea I always talk about. Having an iPhone or designer clothes doesn't make you less poor. What will make you less poor is working, generating income streams, and investing, increasing your investment portfolio. Another quote I've heard is, "Everything in the world is designed to take your money." And while it may seem a bit extreme, you'll understand what he meant. And I completely agree. It's about filtering everything we see, always thinking beforehand. For example, is buying these sneakers that this salesperson is telling me about really good for me? Or are they just saying it because their commission is higher? Do you understand what I mean? I'm not saying not to buy sneakers or that every salesperson and bank manager is bad. I'm saying we need to know what's best for us when consuming anything, not to fall for anyone's smooth talk who promises to be the best for you. Always be suspicious of anything that seems too good to be true. For example, those buy now, pay 90 days later promotions. To me, that's the worst. Many people in my own family fall for this frequently, thinking the store is being kind by letting them pay only after 90 days. But in reality, they'll charge embedded interest, making the person spend even more and create a bond with the store to spend even more in the future. Therefore, know how to differentiate what's good for you and what's only good for the person offering a product or service. Can you feel the weight of these financial traps surrounding us, ready to undermine our dreams? If this content is hitting a nerve, if you feel in your heart that you need more guidance like this to shield yourself and finally prosper, I sincerely ask you, pause for a second and check if you are already subscribed and if the bell is fully activated. Every video we prepare here is a vital step in your journey towards independence. Don't let yourself fall behind in this transformation journey. It's essential that you are with us. Another point we need to pay close attention to is that famous quote, "Many people spend money they don't have to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like." And it's the purest reality. You either live to pretend you're rich, full of debt and remain poor, or you start to change, accepting your situation and investing, increasing your net worth through work and increased monthly invested value. Often, the person criticizing your standard of living has less than you in their account, and is financially struggling. I myself have been made fun of by some acquaintances because of my small motorcycle, but all of them are either in debt or depend on their parents for everything, and it's always like that. As Dave Ramsey says in his book, The Total Money Makeover, you must make the decision between looking good versus being good. Looking good is when your broke friends are impressed by the car you drive. Being good is having more money than all of them. Yes, it sounds a bit selfish and harsh, but it makes perfect sense, especially when we are in this phase of building wealth, investing monthly. Because the most common thing is for people to earn more and immediately increase their standard of living, like in Junior's example. So, when someone lives below their means, they are made fun of or talked about behind their back, precisely because the norm for most people is to finance a car for 5 years, make minimum payments on credit card bills, take out loans when short on cash, and so on. Therefore, don't reduce your happiness to spending. Of course, we all have material dreams of having our dream car, taking our dream vacation, and all that. But the idea here is for you not to let money swallow you whole with that eagerness to always spend more to have a higher standard of living. And one thing I tell you, it will never end. From the moment a person enters this status game, it's always one wanting to be bigger than the other, always one wanting to have a higher standard of living, a better car, and so on. So, when you earn more, it's not the time to increase expenses. It's not the time to increase your standard of living. Otherwise, you'll always be in that rat race, no matter how much you receive. Raise your standard of living gradually when your invested capital grows, not when your income increases. And another thing I want to make very clear here, being honest and sincere with you, investing alone won't make anyone rich. Just investing. $100 a month won't make anyone rich. Of course, creating the habit of investing and controlling money is fundamental to living well with your finances. That's why I say that even if you earn little, it's good to invest, even if it's a small amount, to create this habit so that when you earn more, you can invest more monthly. To give you an idea, if you invest $1,000 and leave it in a high-yield savings account or a CD, certificate of deposit, for a year, earning a modest interest rate, at the end of that year, you might have something like $20, $50 in earnings, depending on the current rates. See, that's a small amount in a year. You could potentially earn that amount from a short freelance gig in a restaurant, for example. Do you understand what I mean? Investing isn't magic and won't make anyone rich with little money. However, if you have $100,000 invested and leave it yielding returns for a year, you could achieve a gain of $5,000 to $10,000 or more in that period, depending on the investment type and market conditions. This way, by increasing your income and investing systematically each month, your invested amount will progressively expand. We have reached the end of this detailed analysis of the challenges and pitfalls of personal financial management. Junior's journey, though fictional, mirrors the reality of countless Americans who, despite seeing their earnings increase, fail to achieve true financial stability or freedom. The central message we aim to engrave in your mind is that prosperity doesn't just depend on how much you earn, but fundamentally on how you manage, spend, and, crucially, invest every dollar gained. Steering clear of the trap of lifestyle inflation with every income boost, diligently cultivating the habit of saving and investing, even if starting small, and making conscious consumption decisions are the unshakable pillars for building a solid net worth and realizing your greatest goals. Remember this, true wealth isn't about showing off to others, but about building security and having options for yourself. The journey towards a balanced and powerful financial life begins with the knowledge you've gained here and your firm decision to apply these principles daily, building, step by step, a future where money finally works for you, not the other way around. And this building of a future where money works for you starts now with a decision of your own. If every word, every example we passionately shared today ignited that spark of hope within your heart, that undeniable urgency to take the reins of your financial life and no longer be a hostage to circumstances, then this is your decisive moment, your turning point. Don't wait another second. Click now to subscribe and activate the bell for all notifications. This isn't just a subscription, it's your direct and immediate connection to the knowledge that transforms, that liberates, that builds the future you not only dream of, but deserve. Join our community of visionaries, people who, just like you, are determined to rewrite their financial stories forever. And until the next video.